Hey, what's up everyone? Got a 2017 Honda Civic, doing the alternator on this. So first what we want to do is check this out. It's right there, and we want to disconnect the battery. A 10mm socket will help you out with that. Just right here, there's a 10mm nut on each one. And you always want to do the negative first, because that's least likely to spark. So we'll remove the negative battery terminal clamp, and then once that is off, we will do the positive. You can just loosen it. You don't have to take the nut all the way off, just loosen it, and then you can wiggle it off. Same for the positive. And then when you put it back together, you're going to put the positive on first and the negative on last. And that's to reduce spark. So right here, we're going to disconnect this brown connector. There's a little thumb spot. You push the thumb spot and get this off. Next is this, it's like a 12mm nut right here. Just get yourself a 12mm socket, and we'll get that off. It's kind of tight, so if it's a little tight on you, that's normal. So just put that nut to the side. We're going to save it for later, and then you could just wiggle this off as well, and then we're going to get the rest of this wire harness off. As you can see, I got these two off, and then there's one down here. So if you go all the way down here, this is to the AC compressor. We're going to need to disconnect this right there, that black connector. So we'll go ahead and get that off. You can just reach down there. I can't really do it with my camera in my hand, but you reach down there and you can get it with your thumb. You can get it from the top. Just make sure the car is cooled down so the exhaust isn't hot and burning your arm. And then there's this little I guess, what's the word, like connector thing right here. You squeeze the tabs of that gray connector, and then you can push that out. You just get something like this, and you just squeeze the side of those tabs and push it back. It can be kind of annoying to do, but once you get it off, you could just pull this whole harness out, and we're going to put this whole harness to the side. It'll be out of the way the whole time. There's a 10mm bolt that needs to come off. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot this black connector. This black connector comes off. This is to like an oil pressure valve, I believe. Be real careful with that one. And then here's a 10mm bolt right here. Once we get this off, we'll be able to remove this whole harness and put it to the side. So don't lose this 10mm bolt. Be careful not to drop any bolts during this whole job. Once that's off, we're going to go ahead and push this over here. Kind of just secure it into a spot to where it's not in the way or nothing. This is the way I did it. So you know, I could just get to this alternator bolt and everything, the bell, without having to worry about the wires. So there's 2 bolts. So when you get your belt off, the tensioner is a 17mm wrench. That's that little spot. You can get the 17mm on, slowly pull towards you, towards the front of the vehicle. It'll loosen this belt up. Get it loose enough, you can pull this off. You gotta get the belt off. You could kind of leave it just out of the way, so it kind of stays a little bit on the other pulleys, or you could just remove the whole thing. It doesn't matter. It's not that hard of a belt to put back on. But once that's out the way, we can get this bolt back here. It's a 14mm bolt. I'm gonna use just my open end wrench to get this off, or to get it started at least. This is probably the tightest bolt of the whole job. These bolts are usually pretty tight. Got it loose. I'm just going to get it out here. And this will be the longest bolt. Put it to the side for now. Now there's another bolt down here. Can't really see it, but it's this tensioner right here. The tensioner needs to come off. You gotta get that tensioner bolt out. It's like a Torx bit. You can see right there. It's kind of deep in there. So here's my Torx. It's a 8. Not a Torx. I'm sorry, a hex. It's like a hex socket. I have an 8, and it worked for me to get an A out on it. Go ahead and get this out. And then there's one more bolt on this tensioner, and it's like a 12, but we'll get this out, try not to drop it, put this aside, and then this will be a little loose. But like I said, there's a 12mm bolt on the bottom of it where like the hydraulic part is, and that needs to come off. It's down there. I don't know if you can see it, but that little hydraulic little part is. So what I did is I got a 12mm wrench, a small one, and I was able to reach down and just get it off with this, kind of reach down like this and go underneath. When you have two hands, it's easier, but definitely doable from the top. I went ahead and loosened it. I'm gonna get it out. Just reach down here and pull it out. This whole job is doable from the top if you have a decent, amount of tools, like different size wrenches and stuff. But once you get that 12mm bolt out, you can snake this out the top. You just kind of gotta, turn it a little bit, and then don't lose your 12mm bolt. Go ahead and remove this. Now that that's out the way, there's a bolt on the bottom here, right here, and it's about 14mm, I believe. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that bottom bolt out. Use like a socket. I used a 2-inch extension with a deep 14 socket. That's how I was able to get to it, and obviously my ratchet's a little longer. But go ahead and get that out, put it to the side, and then to get the alternator out, I kind of had to use my pry bar to gently just kind of push on this spot right here, being very careful not to touch the sensor that we took the connector off of, and just kind of work this back and forth. It'll get looser and looser, especially if it's the first one you're doing, or the first one that's been replaced. It's gonna be tight. So you just kind of got to work this gently. Most alternators have a core, meaning you return it to the parts store or wherever you got it, and they'll give you like some money back. So try not to mess up the alternator, and be very careful again not to hit that sensor. So I have my other alternator here. This is from Honda. I always match them up, make sure. Sometimes the connectors will be in a different spot. I've been burned a couple times. Here's my part number. Like I said, this is from Honda. So, just give them your VIN and they should be able to get you the right one. I'm going to go ahead and just spray a little bit of lube on this paper towel and just put it on the bracket part of the alternator, like right here, because that's usually what causes the most resistance going on. Just a little bit of lube, that'll help. When I put it on, it'll just slide on easier. You don't have to do that; it's not required. But yep. Go ahead and put this on, and if you have any oil leaks, now's a good time to clean them up while this is out. All right, so just put it back on, and it can be a little tight getting the alternator in. But just go ahead and get your 14 long top bolt and then your 14 smaller bolt in, and you can get them kind of started first before you tighten them all the way down. But it's pretty much just going back together from here, boys. It's you're just gonna put everything back in the reverse how you took it out. This is the tensioner bolt. This goes back in, and then the 12mm on the bottom. You can see 12mm there, and then this 8 hex. I went and tightened these down. I got this back in. Got my alternator bolts tight, and now we're just gonna move on. Here's the diagram of the pulleys. I guess it would be like this. When you go to put the belt back on, obviously very important you put the belt back on the way it was. Just when you put it on, just line up all the belt on the pulleys, and then move the tensioner, and then while the tensioners move, you put the belt on the last pulley. And then once that's on, we're going to just put this wire harness back in place. Just get all these back everywhere. I believe there's 4 total connectors you need to reconnect. Don't forget your AC compressor down below. And next you want to get your batteries set up. Remember, positive first and then negative last. When you're done, your car will have lights on. You need to drive it a little bit and then turn it off and turn it back on, and you should be good. Alright, thanks for watching.